Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. Welcome to my channel. I thought I'd bring this up that if you're probably looked at the name of this, large green worms. Well, actually, I'm trying to word it right so it's not uncouth, but I'll get into that as soon as I'll get to that later. First, let me tell you how it came up to be this with the large green worms, okay? I cleaned my filter a few days ago. I always date my filters on top. I know when I clean them how long they last. And the reason I had to clean it is because it was spitting out some kitty litter from the BCB basket that's in it, okay? And this is because I shut the filter on, off. And the last time I cleaned it, I forgot to add an extra pad on top. So I use something like this. And then after the BCB basket, I cut one of these out to fit snug in the canister. Then I add my carbon, in a bag. The mesh is large, so you're guaranteed to have flow of water going through it correctly as if it wasn't in a bag. And then I add another one of these I cut out, and that goes on top. Then my screen and everything. So it's got a double insurance to make sure nothing gets through. If it happens to get through the bottom one, it won't get through the top one. I forgot to put that on. And after I put the canister filter back together again, oh, by the way, in case you want to know, this is a Aquamaster's carbon pads. They're very stiff, and they make great for canister filters. Even if the carbon is used up, they last a long time. You can reuse them, just clean them, reuse them over and over again. But so I have one, you can imagine, here, right above the BCB basket. Put my carbon in a bag, and then I have another one, so to help in case anything wants to come through before it goes back to the aquarium. I forgot the top one. And I realized I left it in the garage, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to tear the canister apart. I'll leave it alone until next time I clean it. And that's why a little bit of turning on and off of the kitty litter has migrated through. This is not unusual. It happens. It happens in ponds. It may happen. Sometimes it happens, but like my 90-gallon, I have a BCB basket. It doesn't spit out any kitty litter because I have it all set up where if any of the clay dust is dislodged out of that basket because of the hole size, it won't go into the tank because that's how I set it up. Unfortunately, because of my mistake, a little bit of it got in the tank, and I thought, what's this white stuff in there? It's kitty litter. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt your fish. They can eat it. They can do whatever they want. Anyhow, so I had to clean it. And if you know me, I can't leave things alone. The ADA canister filter, the inlet tube that's on top where the motor connects to, is small on the ADA. I wish I would have bought the F-Zone, but I didn't. My mistake. That tube is only about 400 thousandths in diameter, the ID. It's a very small tube. And I thought, well, I wonder if I can increase that diameter of that particular tube. So that's what I wanted to work on, to increase it to at least match most canister filters out there that are 500 plus. So I bought a L brass piece with a nut and everything on it, a screw and a nut and everything. And it's between 510 to 520 thousandths ID for the inside. And the hose fits on, the bigger hose, your hoses fit on, and with no problem. So I had to cut off the old, what would you say, 90-degree bend tubing and drill it and open it up. So what I did is I pulled everything apart out of the canister, took the BCB, just sprayed it down, stuck it off to the side, took all the stuff in the canister and cleaned it. thoroughly cleaned it. All that was not going to be thrown away. So most of this stuff, like for example, the phosphate pads, once again, this is Aquarium Masters phosphate pads. I buy this off of internet. You can buy it otherwhere. I take this and I throw it away. Once it's done, I wrap it around the BCB basket so it doesn't move in there. And it goes all the way around. It's about maybe 3 inches thick. I cut a 3-inch strip of this and it wraps all the way around. And it works out real good to hold it. Plus it's going to take phosphates and absorb the phosphates and help with phosphates. So I use this, but when I pull this out, I throw it away. It's no use cleaning it. I figure the job it was supposed to do is done. It was over 2 months old. So that I throw away. The black stuff and the sponges I have in there all get clean. Now I power clean them, so I don't keep any aquarium water or anything else. I'm just letting you know. And I power clean them with hot water, sterilize them, and start stacking up the thing, and then put the BCB back in there, the basket back in there. And then, of course, like I said, the black piece comes in. It's nice and tight. And then carbon, and then another one that fits nice and tight in the canister, and then the piece of metal on top of that, and so the water can be sucked out. Anyhow, it took me a while to work on that project. So the basket sat in the sink for over 4 hours out of the canister without any water being submerged in water from the tank or anything. Just let it sit in the sink while I worked on the filter to modify it. I'm not having fun unless I modify something. So I modified it. That took quite a few hours, more hours than I wanted, because it's stainless steel and I don't have the right equipment to really handle stainless steel. You need to have the right equipment. Stainless steel is almost like a 4140 pre-hard. And it's a pre-hardened steel, so it's brutal on other steels that try to cut it, unless you're going to use carbide or unless you're going to grind it. Okay, so it became a chore, but once I had started it and already cut off the 90-degree bend, I had to fix it with what I bought. So I did, but it just took me at least 4 to 5 hours to do it. It's a long time, but a lot of work I had to do to get it done, and I thought, I'm not going to do this again because I don't have the right equipment, and I had to do a lot of it by hand, making the hole big enough, bringing it off center. A lot of work. Anyhow, so the basket sat for at least 4 hours, a little bit longer. And finally, when I was done, everything worked out fine. Now, when I'm sucking the water, I'm sucking it through 510 to 520 thousandths diameter outlet. The same size that's like in your tubes for E-Hine, your bigger 16 to 22 gauge tubing. And all my tubing is like that. You got at least a 1/2 inch ID on the tubing. So anyhow, I get that done, just put everything back in. Now remember, I didn't baby anything. The basket sat off for a few hours while I had to do my work. I did my work, put the basket back in, cleaned out the carbon in the bag, put that in there, added the little black filter piece on top, and then I closed everything up and put the canister on the tank and let her go. Like I said before, you do not, with an oxy filter, once that BCB is established, that is your bacteria. And even if you take it out and set it off to the side, like I did, it stays moist. So the bacteria doesn't die. That was a big problem, if you remember, when wet-dry filters came around. Once the water stopped going on it, if that material dried up, that was it. You lost your bacteria. If it stayed wet and moist for, let's say the electric went out, you were okay. The bacteria would be okay. So That's one good thing about a BCB inside of a canister filter is it's the main filtering and made biological filter inside the 20-gallon tank, the Goldfish tank, the 2 Goldfish. Well, now I'm going to get you to the green worms. They're not really green worms, and I didn't want to put, and this is in clickbait, I didn't want to put that all this green worms aren't really worms, but they're fish poop. And, you know, that I didn't think that was very couth to have a video saying tons of fish poop all over my aquarium. I thought, well, you know, my wife thought, yeah, that sounds a little better. She said, just put it in parentheses. Excuse me. So anyhow, I woke up this morning. Now it's only been a few days, and everything's fine. So that means the BCB, once I stacked everything up, everything's been sterilized, clean, any parasites are gone, because I clean everything with hot water. The basket I left off to the side, just put it in. No problems with ammonia, no problem with nitrates, everything's going great. Well, I woke up this morning. Now last night when the lights went off at 10 o'clock, so from 10 o'clock to 7:30 in the morning, what is it, 9.5 hours, the fish, like I said, have been eating the algae that's at the bottom of the aquarium. When I woke up, the whole bottom of the aquarium is full of, quote, the green worms. And I wanted to show you that. That is a lot of waste. And this is good for the goldfish people out there, which I try to tell them. I don't think people realize that when they go out and buy, you know, your little goldfish and then, you know, name it little Fifi, that Fifi's going to make a lot of mess and they're going to eat a lot. And if you allow your goldfish, like I am, to eat processed food and then eat algae on top of it, you're going to have a lot of waste. Okay, a lot of waste. And just look at the picture. All this waste had built up. Now, of course, the waste is gone because the fish are moving or swimming. I fed them. They went in the bottom. All that waste gets sucked up. That's why I tell everybody, if you're going to have goldfish, get a powerful filter. Get the most powerful filter you can get to suck their waste up so it can be processed, so it can be broken down by, you know, your biological processes so you can get it out of the aquarium. It's unsightly. And you could just imagine the aquarium out in the Lanai that has 6 bigger goldfish than are in here. What kind of waste they would produce? No problems. So I wanted to show you that I don't think people realize that goldfish, they eat a lot if you allow them to eat a lot, and they need to eat a lot. They need to do that. Get that green in them. That green bacteria and everything is getting into their intestines because there's bacteria all over that algae. They need to get that into their gut and into their intestines to help them out. So processed foods won't do that. It's more of a sterile food when you feed it to them, and they overeat so much of it that it gives them swim bladders and other problems. Usually within the first year, if you have goldfish, you're going to come up with either dead goldfish or you're going to come up with something sick, some problem, something that you're going to have to treat. Well, using my method, I don't come up with that. You know, I've had these goldfish here now going on about a year, never had to treat them for fin rot, never had anything wrong with it, along with the 6 other ranchus I have. But the point I'm making is I wanted to do this to let people know, one, you got to start thinking about how are you going to save your bacteria, because I see videos out there, people are saying how to save their bacteria. With a BCB, you don't have to worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just pull the basket out, clean everything, sterilize everything, put everything back in, put the basket back in. You're ready to go. The bacteria doesn't die because you don't have to clean it because it doesn't clog up. A lot of times, if you have noodles or you have ceramic inside your canister filter or in your hang on the back filter, that manufacturers recommend you replace every 6 months to a year, and that's only because of what they call polymeric clogging. And once it clogs, the manufacturer knows once it's clogged, it's not going to do the job that they claimed it's going to do. So you either have to pull it out and bleach it and have another set to try to switch off, because it will clog up. The micropores all clog up, and once they clog up, you're not going to have the ability you did when it was brand new and finally got established, because of water shear, because water is passing through it very fastly, where a BCB, water doesn't pass through it, it goes around it, and through convection, diffusion, electrical charge, it pulls in the water, it pulls in the ions. So look at it as a big magnet, and then you have iron going past the magnet that collects to the magnet. Almost when you were a child, remember when you were a child, you got these little games and it had a face, and you would put a magnet, and you had the black magnetic iron, and you can make eyebrows and stuff. Look at it as that. You're collecting that, and it's going into the basket. So the faster, excuse me, so the faster you can get water from point A to point B, the better the Noxic filter works. So I wanted to show you that I have no ammonia, I have no nitrites, no nitrates, and yet I cleaned everything and let the basket sit for about 4 hours while I modified the canister filter, and yet with all that waste, still no ammonia, still nothing. And that is why our goldfish are getting sick and dying. Because I found out that goldfish will eat and eat and eat and eat. They will never stop eating. That's what they live for. They live to eat, they live to sleep, and they live to breed. That's it. That's why nobody wants them in the waterways. They are carp, and they will not stop eating if you allow them. But that's good. They're designed to do that. Eat. You just have to make sure that you watch your processed foods that you give them, because that's going to screw them up. The good thing of it is that the filtration system can handle all their waste without causing any spikes, and that's what makes our goldfish sick, is when we have these spikes that we don't realize are happening, and the goldfish wind up having secondary problems because of a spike of ammonia, nitrates got a little out of hand, or phosphates. So I just want to let you know that even though everything is sterile, clean, the BCB basket stays the way it is. Even after 4 hours of being outside the canister, it still stayed moist, and it still kept the bacteria. Okay, that's it with this video. I hope people who have goldfish realize that the dependence on the biological filter is very, very high in order to keep them well. This is an updated aquarium that somebody sent me. It's a better picture. As you can see, look at the root system in this aquarium. It is loaded full of plants. It is using a plenum, and it's doing just great. But anyway, I want to thank those individuals who responded to my last video asking for information about lighting. And that's it for this video, and happy fish keeping. Until next time.